Welcome. I'm Loving Life Podcast with A&T Mechanical Heat and Air Generac.
Wow. Nailed it.
And plumbing. We have the best, the one and only Jessica.
Totally tricked you there.
Yeah. No.
And there's Mike, the master plumber.
Yeah.
He lays the best pipe in town.
Yep, try to.
Loving Life Podcast.
And
Thank
I'm
you
Jesse
both for
Jr.
coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Tim went the other route. He's
Jesse
trying
Jr. You
to
can call me
represent
Jesse
Jesse. You know,
Yep.
But why
Goals.
are you saying that?
That's what Victor said. Jesse Jr.
Yeah,
No,
it's just a shirt.
But it's a shirt.
Yeah.
You gotta
It's a
give the
shirt.
story
I have the
behind it.
slacks and everything, and I got the white shirt that your dad wears every day.
Yeah, even the color.
I
you know?
have the watch on today, not the Rolex, but the regular watch.
So the backstory is my dad, he always wore pleated pants, long sleeve shirts, and starch. So when we were little, my dad would get his shirt ironed from my mom, and he would get it on, and my mom would have to buckle the pants to make sure there's no seams and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, like to the T.
It's that intense.
Oh,
He-
yeah. He's very particular. If you ever see him now, he really makes sure that his
Yeah.
shirt's tucked in.
You should practice that too. You really need to
I'll
practice
work up to that.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I get it pressed with the Swiss cleaner.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, like, that's the level he always brought in the A&T Mechanical. He wanted to present himself, even if because he went through the story of trying to get money, right? So, like, back in the day, he tried to get a loan, and he dressed up normal. As soon as he put a suit on, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, let me give you some money." And it's just the reality of things, this perception of what you bring to the table. If you dress, Mike always dresses up nice.
It's like they usually pay me to take it off. You know?
he had a point, and now he lost it, okay?
Oh,
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome,
But
guys.
Mike does dress very professional, because no plumber on the market does that right now. Like, they don't dress to look good and present themselves. They're like butt crack showing, t-shirt,
Yep.
and it's like showing the difference of what he wants to bring to the table. Just like my dad back in the day, he was like, "You dress nice no matter what." You had that instance going to the airport. You
I was gonna
dress.
read this out.
Yeah.
You dress the way you want to be. I mean, I present myself, I hope, very well around people, but reality is like, it does make a difference if you're wearing sweats or you're wearing a nice shirt that
Yeah.
you represent. So.
Well, definitely, just being a business owner, you want to, represent the company as a whole. I mean, if you're trying to show butt crack and all that, you have to pay extra for that usually. But
I knew it was coming. There's no way you could keep it together for over 3 seconds. No way.
Well,
Should have known.
yeah, no.
You started off so good.
Oh yeah, no, it was great. It was great. So
Buckle up, Buttercup.
right.
Here we go.
Here we
This is
go.
the first podcast with all four of us in the same
there
room
we
Yes.
go.
at the same time. So it's it's really exciting time. At least for me, it is.
He's like, I got nothing to lose. I'm just living it up. Let's go.
Well, I think like also whenever you go into like a job interview, it's always shocking to me whenever they're wearing shorts and like a tank top. Like, did you just come out of the pool or like what's happening? And they come, well, like you said, level up. Like,
Oh, yeah.
look like you really want the job. And unfortunately, some of those guys that have like journeyman license and stuff, that's how they come in. And you're like, why didn't you wear something nice? You know?
Right.
Well, I mean, back when we, even when I got started, we showed up. If you really wanted a job, you showed up at 7 o'clock. You showed up at the time that everybody was leaving the shop or everybody was getting there. You showed up ready to work. And if the boss didn't jump, throw you on the truck, then you were doing something else wrong. But for the most part, growing up in the trades, you showed up at the time everyone else showed up. You found out what time everybody showed up. You showed up ready to work. Your tools already in hand. And you're just pretty much, and they threw you on a truck.
Right.
Because if you're ready at that time without an interview, I mean, and what I came in, that gave you that leeway of getting on the truck, and they figuring out if you're worth your weight, basically.
Yeah.
Well, and now we've changed the way that we interview people, right? Like we go out there and we allow them to be out in the field for the day and just kind of see how they do work, because so many times do they come to the interview and they're like, man, I can do everything and I know everything. And you're like, then the guys come back and be like, why did you hire him? He doesn't know anything. So that's really been helpful, I think.
Nothing.
No, I was going to
Nothing.
say, it seems like the blue collar guys are also the most full of it too when it comes to, oh, I've done this, and it's like, oh, you done commercial? We'll kind of find out they were like on the job site, just standing around, basically didn't actually have the knowledge. Or, the other thing is like, well, like Mike and them, they just have a different way of doing things, and it's like, no, you mean the right way?
It's like, yeah, what's the right way or the wrong way? But it's like,
There's only one way.
yeah.
We don't zip tie hangers.
Yeah. Well, there's just so much things to it, which, I mean, there's different ways of doing it, but we were taught by the same person. So, most, me and Manny's the one that runs my commercial department. And so with him, we were taught by the same person. So we can sit here and we can talk about the same thing and know exactly what we're talking about. But bringing other people into the conversation or even trying to tell them how to do things, it's difficult because we're not used to telling people that don't know how to do a certain thing. We're kind of on the job training and we're trained by the same person. So it's difficult to sit back and trying to educate, but at the same time not being on the job side as well.
But I think you've done well with it. That's why our plumbing side has grown tremendously. But reality is we do commercial side. Commercial side is a little bit different than any side of it all, because usually you have a general contractor there, but A&T mechanical focuses on the residential side. So 90% of what we do, or let's say 80% of what we do, is we want to hold our guys accountable for looking nice. Now, Jessica, for your instance, you went from different jobs and to be in this business as a lady. How do you think that is, as in dressing? Because you're not well, she did dress up in heels, but
Yeah.
to go sell
I did
stuff.
see her. She went up Penn Square Mall, the roof, on the ladder. I'm scared, and she's in heels. Like, it blew my mind. Completely blew my mind.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not dressed in a mini skirt. You're not doing that. You're dressing professional. But what's that line? Because you wear jeans, you can wear slacks. But isn't it blue collar? Like, we can wear slacks. Most of the guys
Well,
that
you're
are
not
in
wearing
the
a
field,
mini skirt.
No.
Obviously.
Not for free anyway.
Mike will do it on request.
On request.
But I think, though, here we have a lot of casual. We're pretty casual here in the office. But there are a couple ladies that do want to dress up and they want to look professional. And I think really it's how you really want to represent yourself. And if you are okay with being super casual, I mean, that's just, unfortunately, that's the way it goes. But for me, I do think that there is get ready. Take a second, don't just come walking into work like you just woke up out of bed and just put a shirt on. We all could do that, right? But it takes time. It takes that you actually want to look your best. I think that takes a lot, and I think that shows a lot of who you are when you come into the workplace. So when you're with guys that are wearing sweatshirts and holy shirts that are all
Shirts that have holes in them, not a holy shirt.
yeah.
These are sanctified
Shirts that have holes in them because they've gotten ripped by something or they caught it on fire or something. You think, oh, well, we can be casual too, but it's still, again, your own standards, right? Like for me, I set a standard for myself, right? And
It's like, I don't know about you, but I wake up looking this good, so.
I gotta work at this.
Yeah.
That's a lie. That's a straight up lie. I see you at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's okay.
But Love and Life as a business, that's how we are able to bring it to the next level. We do care about how we present ourselves, especially people that are going to go. You're not going to sell a $400,000 job to somebody that looks like they just walked off the corner of the street. You're going to present yourself the best you possibly can. And knowledge always helps, but people, the first 3 seconds I have with you is going to determine if you're willing to do business with me. And all I have to do is, I hope that I can present myself first and try to drop all your walls after that. And that's what's the hard part about even selling, in general.
But I mean, I think even like at the home and garden show, right? Like there is a certain way that we do dress as we go out there. Because if we didn't look like knew what we were doing, and we were wearing like gym shorts and, just don't look at professional, I don't know that people would stop at our booth. They just like, oh gosh, what's going on? But I think we really try to put ourselves out there to make ourselves look professional. We know what we're talking about. We always have educated people out there to answer those questions that are tough. And then also just people that are genuinely good to other people, right?
Well, talking about that, we actually have the state fair coming up. First year ever to be on it. It's going to be 11 days. We're going to be at the
11
Bennett
days.
Center, 10 by 10 little booth. Probably had 2 to 3 people there, so it should be a good time. It'll be a very interesting learning.
So I'll be there on the weekends and on the nights. So if you guys want to, keep me company, just feel right. Yeah, just come by. I'll be there.
I'm actually kind of nervous about it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time. So we're always A&T's always used to doing the short 3 days and grinding it out because we hold ourselves to another standard than everybody else. Is like, we don't have chairs, we don't do that, but like this is a whole nother animal from 8 to 8. I mean, we're gonna have
It's
to
like
have
We're gonna
activity
have
the
to have
whole
chairs.
time.
yeah. It's like, hey, come here, come get this balloon, come get this or whatever, and it's like,
I think for 3 days you can go pretty much activity the whole time, but I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm exhausted after the 3 days.
Oh, yeah. Like I'm going to
Mentally
work on
drained.
Monday.
It's okay,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Monday is rough.
It's like, it's okay, Tim. We're just built different.
Sorry, I'm the only one that feels that way. Okay.
No, I'm with you, Tim. I'm
Okay,
with you.
thank you.
I
At least
agree.
Jessica's honest. Okay.
it's a lot, but it
Well,
is
the
going to be
amount of
exciting.
no's and stuff that you have to
Yeah.
you have to be okay with the no. Like, hey, no, I don't want to talk to you. I already got my heat and air serviced, or I already got this, I already
Yeah.
got that.
What really helps me is being rejected all my life. So it's just, really helps. It really helps. Just,
I'm used to it.
I'm just used to it.
You thank your family for that. right?
Yeah. I think my family, ex-girlfriends, wannabe girlfriends, just anything, just everyone in particular. So if you guys are listening, thank you guys. You guys really made me the man
You're
I am
really
today.
advancing.
This is dedicated to
Yeah, it's like,
here we go.
This bunch for you, okay?
Oh my gosh.
We have no idea where this is going right now. I have no control over this podcast.
Like,
Exciting.
So it's been a derailment, guys. So I just want to,
That's all Mike does. He just derails at this point. It's fine.
So back to the home. I think Mike has definitely brought it.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. So Mike has been with us for almost a year, starting maybe in a couple weeks. September. Like,
Yes.
14th, actually.
talk about
Yes.
a huge accomplishment for A&T Mechanical to
a long
actually
year.
have
Yeah.
someone that you can count on,
Right.
that shows up and actually, I hate to say, give a blank about it, and that means a lot to not only in our hearts as our company, because we couldn't have grown. I mean, we were kind of talking about it the other day, like how much we grown with you. I mean, we had some plumbers, which were great, but now we have a commercial side, we have excavators, we have residential side. There's just so much more added value to our company because you've actually put your heart into it. Because like everybody in this room right now actually cares about not only their customer, our employees, and that's why we're better. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, thanks for the year, bro.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
It was always nice to actually have someone that actually wants me after a year.
Usually the year is the max, right?
Usually a year. Usually by this
We
time,
haven't made it there yet.
Yeah,
so
we're
almost there.
Still a couple days behind, right?
I keep pushing the envelope, but
Somehow it still happens.
yeah, just a little bit, but
Mike is like the monkey wrench in your plans,
Yeah,
like all the time. That's what he is. That's what he's good for.
But that's why we're always different. Is like we're not for A&T Mechanical. We think outside the box. Like, why are we different? Because that's who we've been. We've always tried to be someone different that they can remember. And Mike, for the plumbing side, everybody remembers.
memorable.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And then for us, like HVAC side, same thing. Me and her always stood on air conditioners or stood on trucks or do something dumb.
Hey, what about Dad lifting up the air conditioner? That
Right.
was crazy.
I mean, just
Wait, what? I haven't seen.
you haven't
this.
seen that picture?
No.
I have a picture of him holding it.
Oh,
But
okay.
anyway,
I need that. I need that photo.
but just something different to people to look at and be like, oh, what are they doing? And that's why I think we've always been in business for 46 years is like, he's brought us up to that level, and to have him step in and not even skip a beat, it's been a blessing hand in.
Yeah, for sure. But also, we really do try to take care of our employees to make sure that they stay too. I mean,
Right.
That's what gets you where you need to go.
It makes you sure you take care of the customers. Because if you do that, then life is good.
I think the biggest question I always have to try to figure out is how to make HVAC sexy, right? It's pretty much the big question, because
You know that?
no one really cares about their air conditioner unless it goes out. That's the honest truth. I never looked at mine for 3 years when I had my home. Had no idea the condenser had to be, kept up and cleaned. Had zero idea. Mike still doesn't, but he's a plumber,
I
so
washed
that's
it
okay.
this year.
Did you wash it
I
earlier?
washed it for him.
Oh yeah, he washed me down real good.
Yeah,
His house
but
is cooling.
It's like,
It
but
just
no
has
one,
holes in his
no
ceiling.
one really
Yeah.
cares though. No one cares unless it goes out.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, how do we keep HVAC relevant year round, even though it's not super hot or super cold? That's the question always. So it's like, we have dancing. We
But
do
you
goofy
also
stuff
try
on
to
commercials.
you do try to be very sexy on the air conditioners. You put your poses on.
pose, yeah.
Oh yeah, no, on the top of the Generac, which whoever got that one, we apologize for the dents.
Because it caved in.
Yes, it caved in, but
Okay.
we ordered a new lid, but it's okay.
That was the box. Sir.
Yeah, yeah, okay,
It's just
okay.
fine. There is a bracket around it that keeps it guarded. So what he just said is not true
Not
at
actually
all.
true.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you haven't noticed, I do say a little jokey joke once in a while, but it's to keep everything lively.
It's more like all the time.
Yeah, all the time, and that's okay. That's okay. Well, for me, that's okay. Everyone else, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think we're all still shocked.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
There's a lot
We
of
do
shock
get-
value.
You know,
with Mike.
after a year, you expect people not to be surprised at the things that come out of my mouth, but
There's a surprise there all the time.
oh yeah, every time. So
It never gets boring.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
I like to think that I'm not boring. So if that's one thing in my career, I have not been as boring. Misinterpreted, but maybe.
Yeah, but never boring.
But never boring.
He's like, I'm good with
Misled.
So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
You haven't been boring ever since I've known you.
No.
It's always been a wild ride.
Yeah. No. For sure.
Well, at the end of the day, I'm super happy that you're here. Now, Tim, on the other hand, let's talk about this guy.
It's going on 3 years. It's kind of getting old
So-
at this point.
Yeah, I know.
Your reality is like you knew him before that. You got him to be involved, and that relationship that y'all bonded, right, was super huge for. I'm gonna go back to A&T. It was awesome because if y'all never met, we wouldn't know the true potential that he had. How is it for you, for him being here a year? How does that make you?
I feel so responsible for him every single day.
Oh yeah.
So anything that he does, I
Yeah.
feel personally responsible
So
for
just
this.
know that if I, offend anybody outside of here, just know it's Tim's fault. He is his brother's keeper. Let's put it that way.
Anything he does, anything publicly, whatever, I feel personally responsible for his actions. So
That's not true, but
it is true.
maybe.
It's completely true.
He signed up for all this.
I try to keep the bumpers on, and kind of keep it going. Because I told him he's like, what do you call that? Tasmanian devil, So I know he's going to spin around and act crazy, but at least we can keep in the lane. That's all
Yeah,
I'm trying to do.
Right.
But how does it feel to have somebody
it's
that
great.
good of a friend to be
Yeah,
here
it's
for a
great.
year?
My biggest thing with him is I want to make sure he was in a spot where I always see it as whenever it's like creative people. So like Andre, for example, I never want creative people to feel like they're in a cage, right? So I imagine a bird, a little parakeet or something like that gets put into a cage and is allowed to sing the song. But what would that song sound like if they were outside the cage, And maybe if they're put in a position to where they're actually allowed to be their brightest, what magic could really
Right.
happen, because you hear a lot about, and even in my experience too, just with my background, I always felt like I was put into a box. And you remember my first year here when we talked about jobs, bigger jobs I was trying to get in, and you felt guilty for saying, hey, like we can't handle that yet.
Right.
Because I always said I never want to feel like I'm put into a box.
I agree.
It's like unlimited potential.
Right.
Like let me figure out what that growth is going to be. Just let me go. So that's kind of like with how I think of Mike. It's like just let him go there's gonna be a couple derailments here and there, but overall it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
You know, so
But
that's
I
kind
think
of how I
that's
see
the
it.
hardest thing about actually letting somebody just go is like, well, where are they gonna go,
Yeah.
right? Like, and you get nervous about that. I think owning your business and knowing the direction that you feel that you need to go and allowing that person to do that, because there are special people that you can allow that, and then there's some people you're like, no,
Yeah.
we're not doing that. You're gonna have to make sure that you clear that with me before you can do that. But I think at your point of being like an artist, I think that's huge because, I mean, I consider our mom being very artist things, but what she does is if you ask her to do something, she's going to say, well, what do you want? Right? Once you start doing that, then she's going to create exactly what you told her to do. No longer is it a free thing for her to be open, to be
Yeah.
able, because she can make some
Express,
amazing
yeah.
things, but you have to kind of give her maybe a little direction,
Yeah.
but still allow her. So I think that's right. There's just not a lot of people that you can do that with, right? And even like a technician, right? You send a technician, you're like, good luck, right? Well, they need more direction than that,
Yeah.
right? Because they actually don't know where to even start, right? So, and I think even like some of our other employees that work here, there's so much that you can give them. But in your position, I think we were able to let you do that because you have a great position to be super creative with that.
There's only a couple times Joe's got mad at me for random videos, but other than that,
What?
it's fine.
When?
There are some.
This is a while ago. We
Yeah.
had the one.
We did delete a couple.
Yeah,
per
there's
se.
some OF ones that you got to delete, but you know.
Yeah, there was the York one. Do you remember that? The York TM called because he was upset that I suggested that Linux was better than York.
Oh.
You remember this? I got super upset. I was like, man, these trade guys are really sensitive. Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like I haven't even had any backlash to anything.
not yet.
And this guy has like
Yeah.
wow.
No, so that's been a learning experience, for sure. But I think it really depends on the person too. Some people need like absolute freedom to like really flourish, and some people need maybe a little bit of a guideline, right? And I see it as like, okay, so what's the overall vision of where we're trying to go?
I agree.
And you got to be able to see yourself in it at your max potential, or else you're going to be very dissatisfied and you're going to end up at a spot to where you feel capped out. Where it's like, no. You got to see that vision, buy into it. And for me, it's like, if I'm not able to sell that vision to somebody, I didn't do my job.
Right.
You know, because that's what
That's
it
a leader,
is.
though.
Yeah.
And it's
like
hard.
selling vision. You
Right.
have to.
Right. But even like now, you're actually having a little bit of problems, like because we take some videos
Uh-oh.
at some of the homes, right?
Yep.
And that has been very difficult because you're wanting to actually show what kind of work we do. You want to show value of what we do. And then our customers are like, you can't do that. So, like, what do you see yourself like doing in the future, I guess, to make sure that, you know, you get the same content?
I think it's because like people, so I kind of say this all the time in the networking thing. People view A&T now as like a big player, right? And I always envision it as A&T is a 300-pound gorilla swinging at 800 pounds, right? People see A&T Mechanical as something, but it's really not. It's actually small. It's actually
Yeah.
really close knit. But the way we kind of market ourselves and make ourselves appear, we're a lot bigger than what we are. So people, I think, are less cool with. I think they're okay with like a little, what they view as like a little company doing some stuff. But whenever you look bigger to them in their mind, then they're less, you know, friendly to what you're trying to do. And all you're really trying to do is be transparent and educate. That's the whole goal of it, you know,
Right.
from a content standpoint.
Now I'm
Don't even ask. Don't even ask.
It's like
We don't need to know.
sounds like my love life, you know.
So we actually had a customer come in today and said, I personally put into his system.
Mm-hmm.
He lives up the street. I mean, his office is up the street. Known him forever. And he said, well, y'all are probably too big for me now.
Right.
And in my mind, how did you get to that?
Yeah.
Because you see that we have more trucks. You see us because we advertise. He's like, well, you advertise all the time. Yeah, because I have Linux that pays me to advertise. It's not like we're just like, here, have some money and advertise. It's
Right.
like we are so precise, and I mean, we're not even hitting the scratch of where we want to actually potentially advertise at. Because we're too small. It's not like we're funneling cash in the back.
Right.
We're buying excavators. We bought a forklift. I mean, and he just sees that we have all this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, we have new trucks. Well, half of our trucks quit or they got in wrecks or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't understand that. They just see new. And I'm like, well, it's not new. It's like,
But I mean,
we're still here.
we even had a customer that called me one time and was like, "Hey, I don't want to use you because you advertise too much." And I was like, "Well, I'd hate for you to miss out on this opportunity." I said, "My dad's owned the business for over 45 years and we do really great work." So I said, "You know what? I'd like to just come to your house personally and I would like to do an AC tune-up for free." Because I want you to have the experience of us doing a great job, because I don't know, everybody thinks we're big because of our advertising,
Yeah.
but we're still trying to get that customer. And it is very important to us to have that connection with that person so that they feel like they're value to us, because every single customer means something to us. And we do care about what their experience is. Bad, good, whatever, we want to take care of that customer. Our intention is not to go and do shoddy work or be dissatisfied and you call my office and you're dissatisfied. I'd rather you call me and say, "Hey, I didn't like that experience. Let me fix it."
Yeah.
Because I'm going to fix it. It's just like going to a restaurant. You don't do like, "Well, my steak's too rare." And you don't say anything.
I don't do it.
You
So-
say something?
Because of Waiting, the movie Waiting with
Ryan Reynolds.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
And that's just,
Really?
Oh,
No.
absolutely.
No.
I want to give the guy an opportunity to make it better.
But that's different. It's not the chef.
Yeah.
It's the waiter. Like, yeah, he can have all the respect, but if the cooks in the back said it was medium and they cooked it medium well, it's beef jerky, well, it's beef jerky. I just won't order a steak again.
well,
But
missed opportunity.
if the waiter is giving me the experience that I want, saying, "Hey, here's your salad, here's your drink. Oh, this is halfway full. Already topped it off. Hey, let's go." I mean, the experience with him, the food was crap. Well, let's try something different next time.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of different with HVAC because if they had that bad experience with that technician, there's only a couple of reasons why they had a bad experience. Either they feel like they taking advantage of them, or it didn't happen. It didn't work the way we told them. But for us as technicians, for me, I've always said, "Hey, it's how you set the table." If I tell you, Mike, "Hey, your capacitor's bad," but I don't say there's a reason why that capacitor is bad, but I don't know yet until I fix the capacitor. It could be the condenser fan motor or the compressor, but at the end of the day, I'm going to change this capacitor out, and then I'm going to evaluate the system afterwards. I set the table so the homeowner knows there's still something ready.
Right.
There's something wrong. I put the capacitor in, it starts. Well, I check the amps, check the ohms. Hey, this is over amping. So technically, it's not the capacitor, but it went out. But that condenser fan motor is about to pop too. You might have it for a couple of days, but that's been taught me for 26 years. Like, it's hard to relay that information to a tech that's learning for a couple of years, but you have to set the table. You have to set the table at the beginning of the first phone call for our guys to go, "Hey, hey, Mr. Jones, thanks for calling A&T Mechanical. This is Joseph. How are you?" "Oh, I'm not very good. My system's down, or my plumbing's backed up." "Oh man, I hate that for you. But guess what? I have the best technician coming out. What time is good for you?" "Oh, 3 o'clock. Well, I don't have 3 o'clock. I could go maybe 4:30 or maybe tomorrow. What's better for you?" Let's go tomorrow." "Perfect. I have a better guy coming out on that time to make sure your experience great. But guess what? When he gets there, make sure everything's out of the way so he can get there quick and maybe get everything solved." But you're setting the table before they even experience that. But it's hard to teach that to people that are just beginning. And that's the thing for A&T. We are trying to get out. But that's how you bring that experience better. Because if we're back at the restaurant and the guy's like, "Hey, the cook doesn't do very good at the steaks, but man, this chicken fried steak is amazing." Like, bro, all right, let's get that chicken fried steak.
Yeah.
Let's try that one instead of going after the steak that I wanted. Hey, that experience is a whole lot better for me as a company or.
Well, and that's the difficult with like plumbing, because no one's ever happy to see a plumber. Like, I have yet to experience where, oh, come in, like, we're so excited. Usually, literally is a fan, and you're pretty much stuck with a big issue, and you got stuff coming up everywhere. You're not happy to see anybody at that point. You're just, you're frustrated with everything, and so that's where we had to try and, solve this situation, but at the same time, there's only so much you can see even with our cameras. If it's stopped up, we can, there's only limited stuff that we can do to actually see what's down there. So it's difficult to explain to a customer, oh, this is what's wrong with your pipe. When, our cameras, we put them down there, we see so much, and then we have to tell you we have to dig it up. Well, that almost seems sometimes like an oversell, because it's like, well, our other, they were working pretty fine. It's like, well, maybe they weren't, and because of roots and because of this other issue, it's been accumulating so far, and the water's been passing by, but the solids stay behind. And so it's difficult to, relay that to a customer without sounding like a salesman,
But I mean, even the experience that I had water like coming down from my upstairs, like all over. And what was really good is that we were able to like clean it up. That was like just turn the water off, right? We didn't even know how to turn off the water, and you were there to turn the water off, and then just like being able to have a dry vac and getting in there and like really clean it up.
Hey, plug that valve real quick.
Yeah.
The Residio L5
There you go.
shut off valve. There
That's
we
what we
go.
need.
It's like
I did that
she
on
had
purpose.
water coming out of her electrical socket, so she didn't know whether to call a plumber first or electrician. So here we are.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience. But I was so frustrated,
Yeah.
right? Like to be like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Like now I see water coming out of my electricity. Is that going to electrocute me as I'm walking through a pile of water?
But if the same instance, if you didn't own a company and you're in that panic, hey, I have water coming everywhere, and the person answers the phone and says, hey, I got a technician, they're going to be on the way, but do you have a shutoff in your house? Do you have XYZ? Shut that off. We will get there as soon as possible, and we will make sure everything's tip-top shape, cleaning it out, taking care of it, and setting that table before we go, because that when you come out, plumbers come out, they're like, hey, I'm here to stop that leak, because they prepped that situation. Then that experience changes for the guy that's actually doing it to the one that's actually the homeowner's actually feeling, oh, they're here for me. But it's just all about just a couple words that changes that will change the dynamic of everything. It's crazy.
The other I think one big benefit we have too is the fact that we do free estimates, right? I know in HVAC it's pretty common to do free estimates, but in plumbing it's not super common. So I'm talking to a lady today, older lady. She's trying to get grants from the city to fix the plumbing in her home, but she needs 3 separate bids, right? This lady is fixed income, has no money, but we're the only ones so far that she's contacted that actually gives free estimates. So she's like, okay, this old lady has no means to pay for an estimate to begin with. She calls somebody else and they're like, well, it's going to be $600 for us to go out there and do an estimate. That blows my mind. Like I heard this today and then I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay. We got to try to help, this situation out as much as we can.
Right.
That's a major difference. And I don't think a lot of people actually realize that, that's something that's super important. Did you do free estimates before too?
Yeah.
You're on your own?
Yeah, I did them by my,
So what was like your intent of that? If it's super common to not give free estimates?
Well, because, especially as a smaller business owner, and when I say small, like when I first started, I started off by myself. So the whole process of it is, I remember, because when I started doing this, it was helping family, helping friends, helping people that didn't have a lot of money, but I had the experience. So that's where I really started. And I started just doing it as a favor. Like, hey, my plumbing's bad. I can't afford this. Can you come over? And at first they used to pay me with food. And that's why, I gained weight. But they had me over all the time.
Right.
And that's where you start learning, and starting from a smaller point of view. I did it more on I worked for a commercial company. And I did it more as just favors. I didn't do it as I was running for a company. And so I was, my one of my bosses at the time allowed me to do it because it didn't interfere with his line of work. It didn't interfere with his pocket. So we were able to go out, and he didn't care if we did like smaller jobs and help people out. And I think that just kind of kept through me through the ages of trying to help people out. Because I kept hearing horror stories of people charging them, thousands of dollars or even just hundreds of dollars. And, when you're going through, I guess what they called the recession at the time, I was like, man, I've been depressed for a while, but no one cared. and actually being able to help these people out. And like some people just, like they fed us. And I'll talk to him all the time. For me, food is that one thing because it's people's time. It's people's love that they pour into this where I can't go and buy this stuff. But, and that just kind of kept with me through the ages. So that's what we're still trying to implement, to this day.
Right. But do you think, like, I can only, I don't know because we haven't ever charged for that, right? But I can only think that you're going into somebody's home, water's coming down, I want a bid.
Yeah.
No, I want you to fix it, right?
yeah.
And so I think that's why maybe that they want to say that they charge for it. Maybe I don't know, but I would think it's an instant like, oh, I'm gonna have to put a camera down there to find out, right? So that's gonna cost you money, that kind of thing. I would think that's why you're having to use money on the bid.
Well, but there's a lot to that because if your sewer's backed up, and they know the sewer's backed up, you're like, hey, it's going to cost you for me to unclog this. Now, the camera, we can camera it and actually figure out what's wrong with it. That's a $10,000 camera. Either you're going to have it on deck that you've paid a lot of money on that you're trying to come out of that, or you're renting it for another $150. Mm-hmm. So either way, you're in the hole to start out with the camera. Mm-hmm. Now, you pay, $15,000 for the actual snake.
Yeah.
So you're already negative in the hole. You could go rent it, and you're going to say it's for free. But at the end of this day, it's like, man, as one truck, one guy, I mean, you're already $30,000 in the hole. How are you going to come out of it? Yeah, hey, I got to charge $95 to show up. Okay, but I've already spent so much, and I'm trying to get out of the hole. I can't even pay for gas to get me there. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And it's a fine line.
Oh, yeah.
But for us, like, we're in a situation now. We'll give free cameras because the sewer line's like $190, right? We unclog it, but I'll give a free sewer line all day because most likely roots are in it. We're going to turn that invoice into a new sewer because you're either unclogging it because of roots or it's collapsed or it's some slope.
And that's the thing about it, especially with you have roots and you have all this stuff. I mean, we can sit there and we can charge you all day long, but we rather get to the issue of what you're having, go through there and show you exactly what it is that is causing the issue. And it's not really an upsell for us because if we're trying to do it that way, we just charge you for every time to go and snake it out every time and charge it every time. We rather just get rid of this problem, be able to give you a warranty on what it is, and even providing 5-year warranties now with adding gravel and really bedding it in to making sure that we give you the best product possible, and at a slight upcharge on it because it is gravel. But if we give you a 5-year warranty, I mean, you'd be crazy not to if that's for your forever home, or just even if it's an investment of yours that you're trying to make sure that you have in 5-10 years, because we're going to give you that 5-year warranty. But guess what? In 10 years, that sewer line is going to look exactly the same. I mean, I learned that whenever I was doing sewer mains for the city. And when we went back and we'd have to scope certain lines, and guess what? Whenever we dug them up, they looked exactly the same way as the day we put them in.
Right. And that's knowing your value. It's hard to know that hey, but it's harder as a one truck guy not to do that. Like you said, like you were doing it for food because that at least, I mean, you have 4 kids. They had to eat, right?
The food did go to the kids.
Yeah,
It's okay.
they go to the kids.
I'm just saying, like,
They are still living.
Yeah,
you know?
they're still there. I mean,
They're barely hanging on.
yeah, no.
I'm just saying, like, that's a part of being a business as an owner. You have to weigh those odds, and at the end of the day, like, we're trying to make everyone happy, but we still have to run a business. I mean, we have around, let's say, 49 people that work here, and that's a lot of families to feed.
Yeah, but you know what's great about, and just coming over here and people ask me have asked me throughout the whole time of, if you were so good at, if your business is growing so good, why would you, go work for someone like A&T? And it's really simple when I tell people. It's having just the almost like a family, stepping into a family, when I was doing it by myself, and actually stepping into a family that actually cares about their customers, about their employees, about just everyone in general. And then we have people that were like, know your worth and know what, and charge more. It's like, well, it's not about charging more. It's being able to give a certain amount, give the people more than what they're expecting.
Right.
And that's really, I think that's where, in business, a lot of people, you start seeing those dollars move in, or they're not moving in fast enough, and you think, well, if I charge more here and here. And I think that's the great thing on what you guys allow me to do, is still make money, still provide affordable service and the right service that they need without breaking their bank, because larger companies have to charge larger amount of money. And that's the great thing, even with as much as as much, like you said earlier, how we're, we have commercials, we have all this, but we're still able to provide affordable prices to everybody. And still remember, at the end of the day, not everybody is loaded. We're trying to help out the whole table. We're not just trying to help out the people on the higher end. And it's for me, it's remembering where we come from, where it's the lower end. And just because we move up in life doesn't mean we get to charge more.
Right.
We get to charge what's fair, and also still allow us to help the people out there.
Give this man a
Best speech. Best
At the end of the day,
We are not a nonprofit. though.
Yeah, we are not a nonprofit.
at the end of the day, love and life is a pleasure seeing all y'all.
Yes.
Thank you all for coming.
fun.
I'm going to do the Gen Z hard.
Okay,
thing.
we're
Is
gonna
that
go
what
the
it
regular.
is? Oh,
Yeah. You don't want to know.
Thanks for always, y'all guys being a pleasure.